All right. All right, everybody, we're about ready to start the meeting. Just as a reminder, please mute when you are not speaking to cut down on background noise and to prevent the echo effect, and also speak as close to your microphone as possible. And with that, Chris, we're ready to start the meeting.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for rolling with the punches here as we proceed into our Monday, May 9th, meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission in the City of Lynchburg. Thanks, everybody, for being involved today. Come on, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Movies are around, it sounds like. I guess we'll get the hang of this, but first item on the agenda today is to go ahead and knock out our consent agenda from previous meeting. Do I have a motion? And a second from anyone, so we get that out of the way? And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, excellent. All those in favor? Great, thank you. Showing that consent agenda has been approved, go ahead and go to our first action item, which is revolving around 209 Madison Street. It's regarding, it looks like some fencing. If the representative from the property is available, please at this time, if you would say your name and address for the record, and then you may please provide us a little information as to the nature of the project.
Sure. I am here present. My name is Chris Carlson. The address is 209 Madison Street here in Lynchburg. Just to give a little bit of background, we purchased the property back in, I guess, early February. The property has no fencing. When we purchased it, it has no fencing effectively along the southwest property line, which backs one of the properties on Harrison Street. And so this ask is for us to effectively erect a fence along that back property line, as well as a small 10, as it states there, a small 10-foot section along the sort of the southeastern property line. Yeah, so but this is on the addendum here where the red arrow is the southwest property line where there is no existing structure today. There is fencing along every other side of the yard. And then where the blue arrow is sort of a third of the way up that property line is to put about a small 10-foot section of fence so that we can effectively enclose the backyard and make it usable for having our pet out there. There's a picture there. You can see it's literally just open. I think part of it is chicken wire. The other part is literally non-existent. And so, if you don't mind, Victoria, so this is the material we're looking at putting in. It's basically, this is the same thing that's shared with our neighbor at 215 Madison. In fact, we've contacted the same contractor, so it's a milled fence. I think that this committee approved a little while back. That same section to be replaced, actually. And so we're going to continue that look along the back section, and the gate will be the same material as well. And I'll pause there, and I'm happy to answer any questions beyond that.
All right, well, we can open up for discussion. Does anyone have any questions regarding this? It's pretty straightforward.
I would like to know what the material is. Is that plastic or is that wood?
No, sir, that is actual wood. So it's a custom milled 2x4 on top with proper 4x4 posts, and then actual wood lattice work that's interlocked in between. I don't have the full image of it, but I can certainly track it down if needed. But it is wood. It's a solid wood material.
And what is the height?
It's roughly I'll be honest, I just assumed since we had been approved by the neighbors, I could put it through, but it's roughly 42 or 5 feet. It's not a full 6 foot height.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions or would like to make a motion regarding the proposal?
Just quickly, Victoria, you mentioned that the picture is of your neighbor's property. Is that one that's come through the HPC previously?
I don't have that information on hand right now.
I can tell you it is. I can answer it. I actually put a link in form and everything from my neighbors. So that picture, in fact, was taken here, so I think it came through a couple of months ago.
Victoria?
Yes? Oh. Yes, Shanda?
Oh, I move approval of the application.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second, sure.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further questions, comments, or concerns regarding the proposal as submitted?
This is Mike. I'll just say I don't recall the neighbor's fence going through, though I don't really question it either. This is the neighborhood I moved from. I know the people that own the house and have no doubt that they fully complied with everything required of them.
I have no doubt as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that information. I would imagine the same. All right, we go ahead and we can call for a vote. I don't hear any other questions regarding this. So all those in favor of accepting the COA as submitted?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Hearing a unanimous decision, we can mark it as approved, and you are free to move forward, sir.
Thank you. And this is my first time, and also with this virtual experience. Do I need to hang out for the rest of the call? Is there any kind of paperwork I should expect?
No, you are free to leave. You'll receive your COA in your email.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yes. All right, the next item we have on the agenda that we can move to is 109 Madison Street. It looks like it's regarding a driveway renovation. If we would please have the representative from 109 Madison Street state your name and address to the record and then provide us an overview of the project.
Oh, there we go.
Usable. All of my vehicles drag when I go over the sidewalk, and so I inquired with the city about that, but they said I need to go through this process first. So I want to replace the sidewalk and the ramp, and then the driveway was broken, was concrete, was all broken, and take that up and replace that with brown pea gravel in the guidelines.
Excellent. Mr. Barnwell, thank you very much for that. I think I caught everything that was in there. Hopefully the other commissioners did as well. Does anyone have any questions regarding the COA as submitted?
Hey, Chris, no question. It broke up before I heard it, so I just wanted to make sure everyone else heard. The current pitch on the ramp, I'll call it, of this driveway is too steep for his car. So if he were to use it, it bottoms out. That's what requires removal. I'm not sure if everyone caught that.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand it.
So the removal is going from the bottom of the gridded concrete that we're seeing over top of the brick up to the property line, the far edge of the sidewalk?
I would remove the, yes, the gridded ramp, the sidewalk, and then go back the driveway, remove that as well.
Is the sidewalk merely concrete?
Yes, the sidewalk is only concrete.
Yeah, okay.
And Victoria, would, because you're moving a section of the sidewalk that's continuing the walk zone, would that have to go through city inspections to make sure that the handicap route is not interrupted?
Yes, next after this, he would go through the driveway permit application, which is through Public Works.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Jason Ingram referred me to this process when I spoke with him.
Well, pea gravel meets the guidelines, and the rest of it you're replacing in kind. So I would move that we approve the application as submitted. It meets the guidelines.
A second.
Do we have a second? Okay, we have a second from Mike, or Commissioner Kiag, I should say. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor of allowing the work to proceed?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I didn't hear any opposed in there, so we should be good to go. All right, Mr. Barnwell, we certainly appreciate your time and best of luck with the work.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you including me in this meeting, so I appreciate the approval. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. All right, next up we have address of 2144 Rivermont Avenue. If we could have a representative from the property, please state your name and address for the record, and then give us a brief rundown of the items that are in the COA being applied for.
My name is Marty Donovan. This is Renee. I'm technically trailing, so I'm making sure I'm doing this right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. I'm at 2144 Rivermont Avenue. And I guess, do I just read like item number 1 and state my case?
This is just a chance to explain what you're doing for the commission, so you're aware. This is an after the fact COA for work that's been done. He's petitioning to have it done or for approval for it. He received a stop work order for having done work without COA approval, and then he was given a notice of violation for doing work without the COA approval. So this is a COA approval, or this is the chance for a COA approval or denial, and then whatever your decision, we will let Mr. Donovan know what his options are after that.
Okay, that sounds good.
So the first item on hand was the wooden fence that ran along the property. You guys, I had paperwork, and I don't know how, I can't share it with you, Victoria, but I think you all have a packet probably showing the pictures. It's a large property on the corner lot off Rivermont Avenue. It was known as the old Pearson House. Thanks, Victoria. In that picture, you can see there wasn't even really a fence. There was a fence that went on a crossroad along the side of my property that was falling down. And there's a street, that's the back of it, the one picture, Victoria, where the pool fence is. But there was another fence that I took down first that was running along the roadside of the property. It was leaning over. Many people that would go to Riverside Park would see it. It was a drivable road. So I took it down because it was leaning so badly. It was also post 1955. It was not an original fence to the property. It was a stockade, inexpensive fence put up. It wasn't done sturdy at all. When I got to notice when I took that down, I know that you need approval for a fence, and I actually really liked Chris Carlson's fence. I want to talk about that one because I think that's what I want to do around my pool. But I took that fence down, and then shortly after that, probably 2 days later, another section, which I have a picture of, blew down in my yard. And at that point, I already had my stop work order, so I didn't do anything else. I put up some chicken wire, not even chicken wire, something I got from Home Depot, just to keep my dogs in the backyard. I put up a section of black chain link fence temporarily, and I had explained it to Victoria when she came to the house. When I originally was putting the driveway, which was the first issue, she then brought the attention about the fence issue, and I explained to her that the fence I had taken down, it was, you know, I knew it wasn't original to the house, I wouldn't touch an historical fence. Took that down, and then I put up the black fence just temporarily, and I told that to Victoria. I thought it could be done administratively approval at that point, but I was outside the guidelines. And so I put that up just to keep my dogs in. I'm on a busy road, I have dogs, and they are my kids. So I did it temporarily. I have been actually seeking guidance on what kind of fence to put on. It's a very stately home, it's a prominent home in the area, and I want to try to enhance it and do what's best. Mike has actually been the most helpful because I bug him all the time on suggestions and ideas for fencing. I wanted to enclose the entire property with a fence. I actually put wire under the driveway in order to put up a gate. But since taking the fence down, I like it being open. I think one of the things I've learned in the historic section is we're here to maintain these properties, preserve them, and to showcase them. And I think that would harm putting up a large fence, even if it's an iron fence, which was a little bit out of my budget. So I would like to put a fencing eventually, which I'll seek later. I need to address the driveway and take care of where I'm out of my guidelines right now. I want to address this, and we'll worry about later. I will apply for a fence approval, COA, as soon as I get through all this hurdle, and then would like to seek some guidance. I don't know who my advocate is at this point for Rivermont Avenue. I want to eventually just fence in just around the pool area, and then just behind the pool in the carriage house. I'd like to do what that man did on 209 Madison, but I'd want to do like a 6-foot height, only because it is a pool. I'm near a park, and I'm concerned about the pool with the children in that kind of area and being so visible. But the first case at hand was the fence issue. I took down a fence that was leaning over. The section that's now missing in the back fell over, and I haven't touched it since. I did put up a lattice, not a lattice, chain link temporarily. It was never my intention. I'd like to leave it there until I get approval on a fence. It just helps alleviate the dogs getting out of the yard at this point, and it's just a temporary measure. So that was a fence issue.
Okay, I understand.
The second, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Mr. Jones, just hold on real quick. I think we can, does anyone have any questions about this section before we roll on to the next? I mean, we're not calling for a vote yet. We just want to ask if anyone has any questions before we roll on.
I guess the question would be, basically, Victoria, before a replacement fence goes in place, we need to see images of that fence. Would that be a correct statement?
Of images of the fence he'll be proposing, or images of the fence that once existed?
In that the ones that existed are gone, I guess we're looking at a replacement fence, so images of that.
Yes, absolutely. We would need visual, either specifications, material tear sheets, or images.
And I'll get that for you. And if you look, sir, in the picture where the pool fencing is, which is aluminum now, I want to replace that. But the fence that I removed, sir, is what you show in the picture, the stockade fence, the privacy fence. It's 8 feet tall, and I don't want it that tall again. I like looking at the park. And I don't want to put any further fencing on the side street because I don't feel there's a need for it. But that's what I removed.
Understood. Anyone have any other questions regarding that at the moment?
Was that removed after the stop work order?
No, ma'am, it was removed prior to that. I didn't know. I know the guidelines with historic preservation regarding the fencing approval. I'm familiar with that. I had no idea that to remove a fence post 1955 would be required for approval. And to be honest, the fence literally was falling over. It was sections of it that was a concern I thought would be hazardous. It would block a roadway if it fell over. And it was literally 2 or 3 days after I took that down that a section actually fell into the park section, and I haven't touched it since.
I think it should be noted that chain link fence and stockade fences are not permitted in the historic district.
Yeah, I can also confirm that fence that runs along that side street was indeed a hazard. I'm surprised it hadn't fallen over before. It's been leaning for quite some time.
Thank you.
Yeah, just as far as the replacement fence is what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes, sir. I'll seek, I actually am looking for some assistance, but I'll address that when I get to the situation when I do a fence approval. I'd like some guidance, to be honest.
So in essence, Victoria, the two fence items are moot at this point until we get an application for the replacement.
Well, if you desire, you can approve the removal of the fence after the fact. As far as the chain link goes, I will not approve that. If you say deny and he ramifies it within 30 days, then that would not lead to further grievance. If you wish to put a hold, or if you wish to delay the fence decision, you may do that, or until you have more information.
Would you repeat that, Victoria? If we wish to delay?
If you would like to wait to make a decision until you get more information on the chain link fence, then you may do so.
But in the meantime, we can approve a chain link fence there.
No,
right?
Correct.
We've never approved a chain link fence, and it clearly says it's not permitted.
Correct. It would be it could either be a hold where you wait to make a decision until you get more information, or you could say, you could deny it, and then he would have 30 days to bring his application for the full fence, or 30 days to remove the chain link fence.
Okay, thank you.
And the only reason I did the chain link fence, it was just a temporary measure to keep the dogs in until I get approval on fence. Half the problem is now I have to wait another 30 days because I couldn't make it to this meeting. Then it started, it's my phone and all stuff. Right. Was a temporary fix to dogs to keep them in the backyard until I get a fence approved. And then trying to get a contractor these days is not easy because our housing market is doing extremely well, and that was my other concern. As far as taking down the fence that was there, it was a hazard. The other portion that's not there literally fell down in a storm, a windstorm. I put up the black chain just to keep some containment for the dogs. If I remove that, can I put up something, you guys, just to keep my dogs in the yard? It's a small section. It attaches to the wood fence that's there now to my aluminum fence on the pool. I'm just trying to think if there's any graciousness.
To the commissioners, to answer your question, Mr. Donovan, the commissioners can do conditional approvals. They can say that approved on the condition that it is removed within a specific period of time, it is replaced with a specific material. So that is up to the discretion of the commissioners, but they can lay out specific conditions.
Okay.
Chris, are you up for a motion?
You may make a motion if you like.
Yeah, Rick and I are sitting here off mic having a discussion a little bit. Kind of a good thing. I move that the removal of the two non-compliant fences be approved in arrears, if you will, and that the temporary chain link fence that is in place now for containment be allowed to stay, noting that it should be removed as soon as the new fence that needs to be submitted and approved is in place.
I would say that in this case, specifics, so in terms of a time frame, might be the best course of action.
Well, if we know we've got to wait for another application, that's 30 days. You should submit
his proposal for the new fence within 30 days.
So
I can do that week. I'll this week and get it to you.
Well, I mean, it has to be at the next meeting, I would assume.
Yeah, but I'll start the process there.
And Victoria, please note to us what that application would have to be in your hands to be on next month's agenda.
it would have to be turned in by May 31st.
All right, so I would include in my motion that the new application for the replacement fence be in city hands by that May 31st deadline, such that we can review it at the June meeting.
Mr. Donovan, would that be sufficient time for you to maybe bounce some ideas off of the commissioners or an advocate, and then also have some input from your contractor as to what fencing he has available?
Yes, that'd be very appreciated.
Okay. All right, we have a motion in regard to that section. I guess, Victoria, would we get a second on that and a vote, or just keep rolling to the next piece?
It's either...
I want to come back to the stop work order. Was that fence constructed after the stop work order, the chain link fence?
The removal of the fence, the chain link fence, and the driveway work were the reasons for the stop work order. We had a citizen complaint about all three, and we came out and we documented, we gave the stop work order.
Okay, but no work proceeded after the stop work order.
Not relating to these, not relating to this application.
Okay.
I had already done it prior to realizing that I wasn't allowed to take it on the fence. I didn't know that was not permitted. I knew I had to get fence approval, but I had done the other thing temporarily and thought that could be approved administratively after the fact was done. My intention all along has been to secure the property with a fence that would be acceptable to the society.
Understood.
And Mr. Donovan, I know you asked earlier, your commissioner, your advocate is Commissioner Morris.
Morris, thank you.
All right, well, we had, sounds like we have a motion there on the, I guess it was submitted. Who was that? Was it Commissioner Lipsey that made that motion?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, perfect. I guess we can, let's just, I guess we'll call for a vote on that. And then we'll kind of piece it all together as we make our way through. So all those in favor of the motion regarding defense?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, that is looking good there. Mr. Donovan, if you'd like to proceed.
Okay, so now we took care of the removal of the fence and the chain link for temporary. Thank you for your help on that. Now I go down to the asphalt driveway in the front of the house, in existing previously. So my situation with the driveway was, I purchased the house, I've done a lot of work on it, and I had previously an asphalt driveway. It had potholes. I actually at one point during construction of the house brought in additional gravel just to fill in the potholes so that my cars wouldn't get ruined going up and down. It was a mess. These are older pictures because it didn't look that good, but it was already an asphalt driveway. So it was a existing material already used on the driveway. So I never at any part thought that you had to get approval to replace like kind. Like if my windows are white, I can paint them again white when they start looking bad. My columns are white. If they get, like right now, they got, what do you call it? Mildew. I want to pressure wash them, repaint them because I didn't do a good job caulking around them. So that kind of stuff I didn't know I need approval of. I'm just repainting what they are currently. I want them to look fresh again because I want to preserve the wood. That was my same intention on the driveway. I wanted to replace my driveway. I wanted to put new asphalt in and just replace what was already there. We had thought about just going over it. I wanted to just tar it, thinking I could get away with it on the less expensive side. But 3 different contractors all said to me, no, you have to tear this thing up. It was it was causing a lot of water going into my basement because it wasn't done right. It just had to be leveled off better. It was a real mess. It's been there for a long time. So I contracted, all of them come out here, I had like 4 different bids for the driveway. I went with a company called Paget, and I have a letter here from him, the contractor I hired. So he came out to look at it, and as you went, like these pictures don't show it. I was able to find a picture on Google Earth from 1994. The pictures that I have that go back to like 1997, none of those show, they all show asphalt for starters. They all show that I used an existing material that was already here on the property. I didn't take out cobblestone, I didn't take out gravel, I put like kind and did the driveway. One of the biggest issues is, and you can't, it's hard to show you, but in the front of the house, I wanted an entrance area into the front door. It's a large home, it's a prominent home. It's got 10 bedrooms. I'm just finishing the 3rd level now. I anticipate to use the property for both guests that will visit and also hopefully use it with the community on different functions and organizations. One of my objectives was to have a turnaround or some kind of an area. Mr. Paget was the one that I hired, and we had talked about it. And as you pulled in my driveway straight up to my left near the front of the house, there was an area that curved in. There was some formation of a drive that was there. I don't know how familiar any of you are of Ellenwick Lodge. It was purchased and owned by the last owner for about 10 years, but it was vacant for a couple of years when I took it over. The front porch had been off there probably 5 to 10 years after he bought the house. The whole front porch was ripped out because it was all rotted and taken away. Everything was covered up with debris. The yard for years had debris because I used to live down the street, walk by it every day. I mean, it was a construction site literally for almost 10 years while they owned it. And then I was fortunate enough to acquire the property recently and been working on it. One of the goals that I had was to have an access to the front door. I wanted to be able to get in the front of the house because I wanted to be able to use it. It's an acre lot. It's a large parcel quarter unit. And talking to Mr. Paget, he was very confident that there used to be some form of parking in front. He's like, Marty, you had something here. There was all evidence of a structure there at one point. So I said, well, if we can do this, let's try to follow the dimensions of it and let's put an area up there so I can turn around. Then I thought, I wondered if I should try to see if there was a drive that like a half moon. There was a house at 3128 Rivermont, I call it the Pineapple House at the stoplight there near Virginia Baptist. I love what they did. They had a half moon. I didn't want to destroy the yard. And I wanted to follow the format that was already there. So I decided to have them erect that section, clear it, let's clean it up. It was overgrowth. We found all kinds of debris from the construction when they were working on the house previously. There was tons of piles. Took down all the old dead trees in the yard, cleared out all the boxwoods that were in the driveway. We found all kinds of stuff. Took that all out, graded it, we put down gravel, and I had them continue on with the same like-kind material that I'd used on the driveway that was already previous there. I wanted to stick with the existing thing. I didn't want to mess it up or mix up different materials. I wanted to be conducive through the property. I was not here when Victoria showed up. My workers were, I'd already contracted, I already paid for it. I paid it up front. He gave me a better deal. I went with to do this driveway. I was never concerned about it. I know that the structures, I am familiar with historical guidelines. I was not aware a driveway applied, and that is the truth. I really did not know a driveway mattered, especially because it was like kind. There was a work stop order on my door. I immediately called Victoria. I was very concerned, trying to figure out what this meant. She, I believe, came out the next day or the same day, Victoria, I don't remember, and guided me through the process, explained to me what was wrong. At that point, the driveway was already gone. She asked me to take continuous pictures, which I did, and sent them to her. She wanted more of the front of the area that we had cleared. I sent those to her, and then I realized I had an issue. So then I started looking along. I picked out several addresses. I've got 11 on the list here of houses that use asphalt. I've read over the guidelines. I'm using the existing material that already was on my property. But the house that I like the most that I'm trying to mimic is 3128. I understand the concerns, and I'm as concerned as you are when it comes to these homes. Sometimes I can get a little bit carried away or concerned because I take it very personal, because I do love this house and I do want to make it an asset to the community, not just for myself. And that is the truth. So it does get frustrating when you put a lot of work and time to these homes and then you feel like you've done something wrong when you're trying to make it better. We put asphalt in after I met with Victoria. It was halfway done, you guys. The gravel or the asphalt had already all been removed and taken away. It already started doing it. I already paid for it, even though I had the work stop order. I thought that, I didn't realize the whole extent of all this until now because I have a subpoena to go to court now. But I went ahead and had the asphalt put in, and then I softened it by putting landscape around it. I do have new pictures that I can show you of what it looks like. And I guess at this point, the deed is done. So I'm pleading for mercy and some help because I can't really do much more. But I tried my very best to make it as appealing as possible. And in my case, like today I took these pictures, I couldn't get a straight on shot. For some reason, there was a guy living in a motorhome in front of my house. But he's been there all week, and I'm not really sure. But he's very nice, and I don't know how long he's planning to stay here. But I did take this. Will this work?
Try.
Can you?
Right, you're done here. This is what they see.
Okay. Can you see this at all? The pictures that Victoria has doesn't show it that landscape. So when you're driving down the street, like that picture there is straight out in the yard. But if you're in the street, you can't see it. It does not. You can't even see it. So I don't know if you can see my camera. Can you see that right here or no? Does that work, Victoria, at all?
It's lost its brightness.
Oh, sorry.
You struggle.
Oh. You struggle. Hold on. I want you to be able to see this because I'm hoping that I can get some guidance.
That's what they see.
Can you see this at all, you guys? So I put up the boxwoods. I tried to stay the character. I bought the bigger ones. And you can't see the asphalt at all. Those boxwoods will not cover up the house. I don't want to hide the house. I want to still showcase it, but I don't want them to see the asphalt driveway. So those boxwoods will get approximately 3 feet on a special one. Oh, I did this. To try to hide it and soften it. And I've done black mulch around the entire property on the bushes. I've landscaped it. The next project, of course, will be my fence and landscaping around the fence when we get to that point. But I rounded at it, and then I try to soften it. When you're driving down Rivermont Avenue, you can't see the asphalt. You really can't. I was trying to use the same material that was already here. I went down Rivermont. There's 3128 Rivermont is a very good example of a house that has a parking area in front of it that gives you access to the front yard. It's also a large parcel. I don't have a small lot. It does not take up the entire yard. It's a corner acre lot. One of the reasons I don't want to put a gate around the property now is because I am on the park and everyone goes through my yard and I don't mind it. I have become the local hangout for the dog park. And so I like having it open. I want people to be able to come here. My other main concern for doing the parking area is because you can turn around the front yard. You don't have to back out of the driveway in Rivermont. There's been numerous accidents on Rivermont Avenue recently. There was a terrible one a couple nights ago. 4 or 5 cars got hit, I believe.
That's right.
To just have something to say, I did not by any means mean to go against the guidelines. I was not familiar with that part of it. I never did look it up. That's my fault. I did not realize the driveway applied. And I just extended it through, which there was something there. I have a letter from Mr. Paget that stated reads, this letter to inform you that my company was contracted by Marty Donovan at 214 Rivermont Avenue, Lynchburg, Virginia, gives my phone number and my email, to remove all old existing parking areas around the house, including the front, east side of the property, and to repave over them. No new areas were disturbed or new or more parking. So, and I have that letter here from him backing me up that, you know, we just put in what was already in, it was a new asphalt driveway. And so I don't know what to do at this point. It was at great expense, and that's my problem, not yours. But I am asking for lenience and a variance. I know that you have the ability to make a judgment call on. I don't think I've hindered the historic value of this house by any means. I think I've actually opened it up and I've made it now more accessible for people. I'm looking forward to making it a showcase as soon as I get the work done to it. And I want the community to I have to have access to it. And I guess pretty much some. It's in your hands now as far as what happens. I don't know what other questions I could answer for you, but that's the story behind the whole situation.
Well, that's great. Mr. Donovan, thank you for that information. And I guess this is Chris McSwain, by the way, speaking. So I guess my 2 cents on it is that I remember how bad the driveway was. I've been in that driveway before and seen just how horrendous it was beaten up over the years. And so replacing the driveway as it was in kind with asphalt, I definitely didn't have any issue with. As far as I was kind of taken aback with the extension of it to go in front of the front door and thought, oh, this is highly unusual. But then as I researched a little bit more, I did see quite a few other large homes that have evidence existing currently of parking areas right in front of the house. And just like you just said, on 3128 is a perfect example of it, but there are several others just within a few doors down from that that have the exact same thing. You had mentioned that the contractor had found, or maybe yourself as well, that you had found evidence of a possible parking area in that before. Could you explain what that evidence may have been, or
well, it was
concrete, or what was it?
There was so much debris by tennis. When they took off that original porch, we found a lot of the original wood buried. The columns, old columns and stuff. There was so much garbage, they just went over it, and the grass over the years grew over it. But there was clearly, the only picture we had, and I don't know how to show it to you, on Google Earth, the house is 1909, so I can't say to you I have a shot of a driveway there back in the day. I can't prove that. I can tell you there's a lily pond on the property because I found an old concrete area. We believe it used to be in the very center of the property. There were elaborate gardens on this property at one point, so I know there was never a drive through the property. As far as the front, it definitely curved because in that I saw it before the contract even came, to be quite honest, because a curve going toward the front of the house. There was a drive format there. You're just talking about years of neglect. If you look at your League House that's across from 2021 Rivermont Avenue, I walk my dogs every day. Mike, you're across the street. There's stairs that go up to the yard, and all you see is grass. Well, under the grass is probably old concrete that takes you to the front door. Some homes are just so neglected over the years. And taken out. There was so much damage probably done when they took out the front of that house. I mean, I don't know if any of you recall when Jason owned the house, they had taken off the front porch.
Right.
And there was 2 boards that held that front top up for years. I mean, literally years. And so that's what he was doing. You couldn't even tell anymore where everything followed some kind of a guideline, Mr. Padgett. Just to put a turnaround in that section, so that turn around without backing out of the driveway. That was the main reason for it. So people don't have to back out, especially if we're having any kind of a function here. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes. You all have any questions?
Yes, my problem is that I did see that yesterday from Rivermont Avenue, but it looks more like a parking lot than a turnaround to me. And I haven't been in that house for years, but it definitely was, there was not a parking lot in front of that house years ago.
How many years ago was that?
Well, it was when maybe 30 years ago.
And that would have been when the Pearsons owned it?
Yes. No, I don't think it was the Pearsons. Anyway, some Randolph-Macon faculty lived in that house, rented rooms. So, but there was not a parking lot in front of the house, which is what I see now.
Yeah. And did you see that when you were driving down Rivermont Avenue?
Yes, both ways. Well, we drove both ways to see, yes.
Yeah, okay. I drove by it myself today and took the pictures strictly from my car, and I drive a Suburban, and from my Suburban window, see it, especially with the landscaping in front of it softens it, so that you don't see it.
So the answer to Chris McSwain's question to that of evidence, there is none?
Well, the house is over 100,
Of the parking lot, is there evidence of the parking lot that you can show us?
The only thing I found, because there's nothing on Google Maps, the only thing I have is from a contractor and I showing that there was a curve into there and there was a lot of debris in that area, that there used to be a formation of a parking area up there. There was some kind of a drive going up to that area. I don't know if that...
Did he actually dig up asphalt?
It was all different kinds of materials. We actually found a lot of, what do you call this? It wasn't asphalt, a lot of big stones. And actually, I kept all of them, and I've used them for a stepping path for the garden area that I've done up front. I don't know what you call them. What are they? Not pavers. They're big rocks. I mean, big stones, or like a blue rock. I've been working on cleaning them to green.
Well, that may have been a sidewalk going to the house, but if you had come to this committee initially, we would have asked for evidence. You'd have to do some sort of survey around that space to really show us that what was there at one time. And secondly, we would never have allowed asphalt because it's not allowed in the historic district unless it's there. So if your driveway in fact was asphalt, then you're replacing in kind. But to add something as massive as what I agree with appears to be a parking lot in asphalt, in my opinion, does not meet the guidelines whatsoever, and in the fashion that it was done.
Well, I don't consider it a parking lot. I did it so that a car could turn around in front, be able to go down the drive forward. It is such a large lot. We are talking about acre parcel. It doesn't take up the full front of the house. It takes up the front entrance area, so that drop off could be out of the front door, turn around, and go back out. That was the purpose of it. I had enough room to turn the Suburban around. And if you look at 3128 and some of the other homes, there's a large red brick house that Bacon lives in. A lot of them have the circular driveway. I didn't have any evidence.
This particular house, I think it was, all I ever saw there was a large front lawn. So there are houses that may have circular driveways. I have a house that has a circular drive, but I have permission for that, and it's in egress. It's certainly not in asphalt, and it's behind the house, not in front of it. So, and Marty, you know that you got the permission for these kind of things. I just don't understand how you did this, because it's really doesn't look right, and it's historically not what this house had from any evidence that I could see.
And was this...
At a front lawn, period.
Yeah. Was this done after the stop work order?
Yes, Shanda.
Yeah, okay.
Way done.
Yeah.
It was already cleared. The area was already cleared and gravel was already put in when I got the stop work order. And I'd already paid for it. And so they completed just doing the asphalt portion, but it had already been cleared out. And I sent those pictures to Victoria.
But the asphalt was installed after you had been told to stop work.
Yes, I didn't want to continue on with the asphalt driveway. I thought it would be funny to use a different material right next to it. And see, those pictures that you pull up right now is straight on in the yard. It doesn't look like that when you're driving down Rivermont. I don't think it sticks out. And I think once the landscaping takes form, it will look more like the Pineapple House where you don't see it. Those are under construction, and I think it looks a lot different now than it did. I think in time I could even put more landscaping in, and if it's a concern, maybe filter, without losing the vision of the house. I don't want to lose the house. I enjoy, having the house be visible. I understand your concern. This way, we can resolve it by doing landscaping that would be acceptable, maybe using a more mature landscaping to hide it so that it's not seen at all. I'm using a black mulch on top of it also. I don't know if that helps me. Put a lot of mulch down.
Given the size of what has now been put down out there, is it intended at any point to be not necessarily a park? I keep hearing a turnaround area, but is it ever perceived that or expected that this will be a parking area, that cars will be left there, for extended periods or overnight or something like that?
No, I mean, that was never the intention. I don't want to block it out. I use the sidewalk.
There's been cars parked there multiple times over the last 6 weeks.
If you do, it's usually because we're having a party or a function here.
There have been multiple cars there parked multiple times over the last couple of weeks. I go by this house coming and going to work daily.
There's several homes, sir, that do have parking in front of their homes. 2021 Rivermont Avenue. There's several homes that park in front of their homes. Several houses.
And as noted earlier, they're either existing or were submitted and approved.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
In my case, we had evidence, and Padgett has sent me a letter, which I can get to the committee, stating the fact that there was evidence there had been some form there. All of these pictures you're showing, you go back to, I think, 2007. Which doesn't really show. 1997 is the last picture, and that one you can't really define. But again, the house is over 100 years old, so here's a stable the very beginning days of it. Someone had told me there was a brick wall in front of the house at one point, but I've never been able to find any evidence of that. I did find one big stone on the corner of the lot. I've never had any pictures. I don't even know who built this house.
So, Mr. Donovan, you were saying that coming off of, if you enter off Rivermont Avenue, I'm just trying to get a visual here, you turn in off Rivermont Avenue into the driveway. As you're proceeding up the driveway, as you approach the house, there's a pretty mature tree that's on the left-hand side. It's relatively close to the house. So you're saying that there was evidence of a turn, or a little thing, a cutoff that went towards the front of the house?
Definite turn on both sides. We followed the groove. We followed the groove on that.
Now, is it possible that instead of having a large, what is existing there right now as a large turnaround area, that perhaps it could be, or maybe it existed as a single lane pull off that came off of the main trunk of the driveway, went to the front of the house, and then you would basically do a 3-point turn, pull into the front drive, turn into the side by the front door, drop somebody off, and then 3-point turn back out, as opposed to having the entire turnaround area in that lot. It's just kind of throwing something out. Is it possible it was just a small pull in and then back right out sort of thing?
I wasn't there when Mr. Padgett was doing it. He said, "Oh, you have a parking area here. You can continue this on, Marty, and we can expand it so you can turn around in front of the house." Because I had thought that maybe we should try to go and do a circular driveway, which I knew I'd have to get approval if I did that, because I'd be coming across the sidewalk. And I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to mess up the front yard, because I want to use it as a field for the kids and, to do events in the yard. And to have access. I mean, it's not like it's a stamp-sized lot. It does not take up the entire lot. It's an acre lot. I actually believe it's a separate lot next to me that I own that could have been used maybe to put another house on if someone wanted. And so I understand your grievance, and it is done. It was not done ill-intentionally by any means. It was done for practical use for a home of this stature to have a parking drop-off area and turn around safely to get onto Rivermont Avenue, because I have no other exit off the property. There used to be an old alleyway behind me, which I'd love to have access to and go out the back of my driveway, but that's been vacated. I can't do that because I found it on the city tax records when I bought the house.
Right.
Just wondering, you know, there's always exceptions to every rule. I know that you're working with people in the historic sections to start doing synthetic roofs and things like that. I am very cautious about trying not to park in front of the house. I personally don't like it. I agree there have been cars parked up front, and that's usually because I'm having a party or people here. I had company in from Washington on Mother's Day weekend. I had like 5 people staying here. It's a 10-bedroom home. And so I do like the idea that people can park safely on the property when you have the room to have people here. I'm not using this home for, I'm not using it for B&B, I'm not using it for VRBO and stuff like that. I'm using it as a single family residence. It's just me. I do have company, and I do want people to be comfortable here and stay here. I do plan on doing functions in this house, and having access to that front door is important, both to accommodate guests and also to safety for getting in and out of the driveway. So I understand the concerns. I get it. I tried to soften it when all this went down with the landscaping. That's the only reason I did it, is because I was hoping I could maybe work with you and say, okay, what can we do to buffer this so it's not so bad? Most people do like it. I mean, I have taken a survey. I've talked to a lot of people about it. And then I drove around and looked at other homes. I'm going to go back to the Pineapple that has something like this. There are numerous ones. The Gray House, which is a beautiful home on the Avenue, has a whole parking area. Their landscaping is mature. Mine I just put in. If I put more mature landscaping in, I'm open to that. If you'd work with me on it to buffer it more, you know, I don't want to do anything that would hide the house. And I just don't know what else, you know, I could do to appease you to get an approval after the fact's been done. It wasn't done intentionally. It wasn't.
Mr. Donovan, why did you violate a stop work order?
I didn't understand it, to be quite honest. I called Victoria, and she told me to send her pictures. I didn't understand it. I had no idea. And trust me, I didn't know what it was.
There's no way you don't know what stop work order is. Given what you do on a day-to-day basis for a living.
I did not understand the extent of it. I truly did not understand the extent of it. And when you have an office that shows up your house and gives you a subpoena to be in court July 17th, it registers. So, no, sir, you're mistaken. I was not aware of the severity of it. I did not understand it. I paid for it. I had thought that it would be free because I was paying kind material for the driveway. I extended what we believe was an additional parking area. I was looking other properties that I had seen on the avenue to stay consistent. Again, I went back out like 3, 2, 8, and several other properties. There's in the historic district. If you go up and down Rivermont Avenue, we have both commercial, residential, apartments, all kinds of stuff. There's tons of parking in front of all those buildings. I had no desire to do anything that would be derogatory to this property, do any kind of damage to its reputation by any means. And it's not an intentional act, and it was the work order. I didn't really understand it. I talked to Victoria and sent me the picture. It already was done. I had a contractor sitting in my driveway with asphalt trucks. I completed the project and just figured that I'll get it done and we'll figure it out. And then I ran around the neighborhood, started taking pictures to make sure I had like-kind properties that I could share for my case, because I had not been through the right avenues that it's supposed to.
To inform the commissioners, on March 10th, I issued the stop work order. We told the contractor to stop work, and we expressed that we wouldn't want any work that he did to have to be undone, and then we explained to him what a stop work order meant. On That same day, Marty Donovan and I talked on the phone. I explained the entire stop work order process from start to finish, including what would happen if he didn't submit his COA application for HPC approval or if he continued to work while under the stop work order. We went through the phases of stop work order, notice of violation, and what would happen after that if he did work with that.
Yeah, I don't remember those details. I think I was confused and concerned because I have a contractor in my driveway. I wasn't able to meet with that day. And I immediately, I believe the day after that, filled out the COA and started the process and tried to communicate and sent you the pictures that you requested because you're like, Marty, how do you know there was something in front? And so I sent you the additional pictures that I had, but at that point, it had already, the gravel had already been laid down. The asphalt had not been laid, but everything else had been completed.
But the asphalt was laid afterward.
Yes.
After you were told to stop. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have any further questions, comments, concerns? Any motions?
I mean, does anyone have any suggestions besides just, I mean, is there anything that can be done that would accommodate you with it, or are you just so unhappy with it?
I'll be honest, in terms of a motion, Chris, my motion noting that there was no documentation of the existing conditions that have been mentioned, no pictures, no excavation by the contractor to show edges of former parking areas, former asphalt, former gravel, anything, with no documentation of an existing conditions to show that you're replicating what was there, and a clear and willful violation of the stop work order. My motion is to disallow what is in place.
Okay.
I'd be happy to second that.
Well, I wasn't clear on the understanding of the stop work order. I know you don't believe me, but I was not clear on it. I should have paid better attention. Secondly, I do have a letter that I can get to you with a statement from the contractor that I asked him that will verify that there was evidence of an drive area, and a parking area in the front. He did send that to me because I asked him for some kind of information. Do I have pictures of it? No, but I do have a state letter from Paget Grading and Paving stating the fact that there was a continuance of a parking area there.
Does that change your motion?
No, sir.
I mean, Marty, you just told us there was no evidence. I just asked that question and you said there was not. And now you're saying there was. So,
well, as far as evidence, I'm telling you that there was something there because we cleaned out all the debris. And
but
there
was not, you said there was no evidence of asphalt. And if there's no evidence of asphalt, then that is not permitted in the historic district, especially in front of a house like that. I mean, that's...
And again, I come back to you with 3128 Rivermont Avenue, 315 Rivermont Avenue, 3128 Rivermont Avenue.
We're talking about this particular house, not...
Yeah, we're talking about your house.
Oh, I know, I agree, I understand that, but I'm also trying to show you that we're in a historical district where other homes do have these areas in front of their homes. You know, I know we're talking about my house. I'm telling you that I replaced a like-kind driveway with asphalt. I hired Paget Contracting to come out. He sent me a statement letter stating the fact that there was an area as he was grading of evidence of parking in that area. And I asked him to continue on and to go ahead and carry the same like material that we had on the driveway. Do I believe there was asphalt there? No, I do not believe there was. I just wanted to continue us on with the existing material that was already used. And at this point, you know, it is on a hill. It is not that prominent from the street. It is a large lot. Further landscaping could be added maybe. if that would help appease at all, to buffer it if it's a concern. I think I've done a lot of work with this house. I've taken a property that was vacant for years. I cleared it, cleaned it. I plan on utilizing it for the community. I'm going to need areas for cars for drop-offs in the future. I'm not totally in the right. And for that, I'm sorry, because I do agree. It wasn't, I just don't like being said it was a clear violation for my ignorance. It was not an intentional clear violation. It was not done intentionally by any means. It was on my ignorance, not done, intentionally to disgrade it. I'm very proud of this house, very proud of the project, and want it to be an added amenity to our community by all means. That I have no intention to upset the Historic Commission. And at this point now, because the damage is done, I'm just asking for leniency and suggestions if we can't work together to figure out if there's a way that we can fix it without having to tear it up. And that's, I guess, where I'm at. And I'm just wondering if we can't do that with further, more mature landscaping, seeing that there are other homes in the area that do allow it. I mean, there's nothing consistent on Rivermont Avenue. You've got commercial. We've got homes built in the 50s. We got homes built in the early 1900s. It's not consistent. A couple houses down from me, people park in their front yard every day. Morris owned that house. I just sold it to Bill Cassio, and it's a 4-unit apartment building. And it's also zoned multifamily. This is a single-family residence with an R3 zoning. I don't know if that helps.
Chris, do we have a vote? We got a motion.
We have a motion and we have a second. So, yeah, we can call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion to deny the request for specific to the driveway extension, the driveway extension, I should say, because I think if I'm not mistaken, we're good to go with the asphalt replacement. It was replaced in kind of the main trunk of the driveway. This is pertaining to the extension of the driveway.
That is correct, Chris.
Okay. All those in favor of denial of that specific section of the COA?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I guess that we're Victoria, you'll have to tell me where that goes next. I guess it's
We'll send him a notice of denial, and he'll either have 30 days to remedy the situation or to appeal, and we'll make him aware of the appeals period.
okay.
Just for the minutes, can we have a note of who voted aye?
Shanda.
Mike.
Emmett.
Chris?
Okay.
Rick. No.
All right. That was everybody. Thank you.
And we'll just need to obviously making sure that we're understanding that the fence issue has been resolved as well, so we're good there. Yeah, I guess so. We'll be waiting to hear what's next as far as this part of it goes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So, the driveway's fine, correct?
The main driveway.
Okay, the main driveway is fine,
Yeah.
so the concern is the courtyard. So, my understanding will be that you want the courtyard removed. So, since the area is already cleared and landscaped, would putting like a pea gravel out front be allowed, or no? Is it the asphalt that's upsetting you, or the area itself?
Marty, what you can do is you can submit a plan. If you want to do something in the front, submit something to us, what you'd like to do, and we could either, right now we're looking at something that's already done,
Right.
which we obviously have rejected, so you can you can submit something to this commission for a plan of
Can you give me
what you're proposing.
can you give me suggestions of what you would like to see?
We don't give suggestions, Marty. If you have, all we do is go by the guidelines. We're here to make sure that the guidelines are adhered to. So we're not here for recommending what to do. So if you would like to submit, many times we've had plans. Again, I'll refer you back to what I did. I gave them an actual plan of my house, my carriage house, and what I planned, and I drew everything on a plan for them at scale, to scale, of what my intentions were. And that's sort of what we're looking for here. Just, you'd have to get a landscape architect, a landscaper, you yourself, whoever you want to draw something, you can sketch it, whatever you think is adequate. Now, as your advocate, you could come to, you could ask me to help you with it, you could, before you submit it, you and I could have a conversation, and I can give you my opinion.
There we go.
And what I think, of course, I don't speak for the whole commission. That's what the advocate is there. So, we can help you with it, but we're really not there to recommend what you do. That's up to you. And that's the process, and I think that's, you have to adhere to something like that.
Right, and the driveways and parking aspect of the residential guidelines state the driveways or parking areas should be of brick, brown, pea gravel, concrete or concrete exposed aggregate or concrete tracks, narrow strips. Black top or asphalt driveways would not be traditional and therefore not approved. However, obviously in this case you replaced in kind with the main part. So if your question that you just asked us is what would you recommend and Rick obviously clearly answered that, but if you just refer to the guidelines and came back with something that perhaps meets those guidelines of those materials that I just listed, that may be easier to look at that point.
Okay. All right. It also states in the guidelines that we recommend parking to the side of
just
the house
or side or back.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's correct. It does state that.
Yes.
Obviously, however, as we've all pointed out, there you look one house, 2 houses over, and that guideline is not necessarily a guideline historically.
I see
it's something to review
all the time. There's several commercial properties and residential that park right there on the grass. There's 3 houses down from you where that's very prominent. There's 4 cars and they're right there.
A lot of that has been grandfathered in, that it was already there before Rivermont became a historic district.
Right, just like we can't deny you asphalt your driveway if you already have an asphalt driveway within that law, that particular situation. Now, because the guidelines say you can't do, I don't know if it says it discourages them. So that's not to say that we would not allow you to do something in the front of the house. It just says that we discourage it. And usually we discourage it if the history of the house never had it.
And see, that's where I'm torn, because, being here, there was something. I know that if you Google 1994, you can see where a driveway went under the oak. It's just a bad picture, but I actually have it on my iPhone. So there was something. So there was. I can submit that when I do my COA. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think if you could submit a plan.
Okay.
Again, you've got an advocate. There's 2 architects here. We could possibly have, Emmett, I'm sure, would come out with me. And we could give you advice on what you want to do, but it would still have to come in front of the committee.
So if I have 30 days to do this, I would never be able to get someone to do it that quickly. You know what I mean? So what do I do about that?
Well, I don't know if can we give him an extension on that 30-day period? I don't think we're going to want to.
And COVID and stuff. I mean, I hear you loud and clear. So I've got to rectify this one way or another. And I'll talk to you, Mr. Morris, and get some suggestions and come up with a game plan to rectify it in this way that will satisfy everybody. My concern now is I don't know how long it's going to take me to do that. I mean, I guess we could come up with a plan and then go before the board, but it can't be done in 30 or, hopefully 60 days, but it might take longer, you guys. That's my other concern.
If I may intervene, receiving an application that is addressing the problem would be a act of ramification, or at least it's in the action. So we don't want this project to remain stagnant. If we get the application that shows he's trying to do something, then for the 30 days, that does address that.
Just want to jump in. So again, Victoria, to get it on next month's agenda, that application would have to be in before the end of this month.
That's correct, May 31st.
Just want that information out.
That's it.
We would have to receive the application by May 31st.
So Victoria, if he can't get it here by the 31st, which may be unreasonable, can we extend it so that the application would be due in July?
I mean, if I could have you individually feel free to stop by the house. I do, you guys, I don't want to go to war. I really don't. I want to fix this. I apologize for the way it's done.
We can also receive the application by the 31st and then receive the materials afterwards. That gives him another 15 days with which to get something together.
Really tight, Victoria. You guys, I've got to go to work in Florida next Saturday to like the 1st of June, and I've got to go because now I've got to tear up the driveway. I've got to have some money to pay for it. So I've got to go for work, and I've been able to travel because of COVID. And so, I mean, I'm just really concerned about the time frames. I'd also like the opportunity to meet with you. Mr. Morris, I want you to come to the house. I want you to look at it and say, okay, we put down a pea gravel. What size do we use? What do I use landscaping that's already there? Each one of you, you have a concern, you're on busy, and so I need help. I can't, it's done, so help me. Tell me what your thoughts are. You don't have to go on record doing it, but at least help me. If, this is a concern, let's fix it.
I said you.
Victoria, what are our options about time?
Let's see. If he does get an application in without the materials, say he asks for an extension on that to go to the July meeting, and we've received it by May 31st, I think that could be an option.
Okay.
Just to be clear, he's applying for an this is why I'm here. He literally can't
Stop it.
Just to be clear, he's applying for an extension. All he has to turn in by the 31st for the extension.
He would have an application for whatever he's planning to do. Say it is pea gravel work. He wouldn't have, let's say it's not enough time to get any materials like the plans he was talking about. But if he gets in the application saying that this is his intent, then let's say that.
I think that's what he's going to have to establish by the 31st what his intent is.
Because I really want to meet with a few people and see what they come up with to do. I mean, we've got to fix it. It's too not to do it right.
Well, let's continue this discussion, and you can talk some more with your advocate. We can talk some more in the coming days or tomorrow. Get that get that going because I don't think there's anything we're going to resolve that relates to the application that we just voted on tonight.
You just denied me and you've given me a requirement that I can't fulfill. I mean, on record,
First deadline was only for the fence, I thought. I thought the cutoff was only for him to resubmit for the fence. I didn't know we gave him a time frame for the driveway. We just denied it.
Right, and for denials, petitioners have either 30 days to remedy the problem or to appeal to the city council.
Right.
Why can't I?
We can't control that.
I think you're not giving me till July.
Well, I think if you submitted, whatever you got your plan together, you may miss next month, but if you're submitting a plan and it doesn't get onto the next meeting, then I think that would be considered an effort. I mean, I don't think we're going to do anything about trying to get your driveway up because we know you're already on the agenda to submit something else. Would that be correct, Victoria?
I don't know. I'm worried about my legal rights at that point because I already have one subpoena.
You already have what?
I've already got a subpoena to go to court in July for all this fraud.
It is? Yeah. Oh,
I'm also not exactly sure about the appeals period. I don't know if it's 15 or 30.
Yeah.
It might be 15.
Yeah.
I don't have the denial to check right now.
Okay. No, I didn't know that.
Why don't you submit a COA and then let us defer action because it's incomplete?
Okay.
And then that gives you until July.
So I'll just say that I'm taking, I'll talk to you, Victoria, but you're not at the office, are you?
You can still contact me.
Because I've tried and I usually just get emails. Do you have a phone that I can speak to you so you can guide me through this?
I do.
I mean, I'd like to talk to you on the phone so I fill it out properly because I don't want to make a mistake on it.
So Victoria, when he gets stop work order, does that automatically get it? I didn't realize that it went to court so quick.
He, after he was issued the notice of violation, he did continue work on some other elements that aren't related to this application, and that's why we were able to go forward, or that's why we did go forward with treating it as a circuit court issue.
So this is more that he denied that he violated the stop work order. Is that what you're saying?
On this application,
the asphalt was laid on top of the gravel after the stop work order was done.
Okay, all right, I got it.
But it sounds like at least Commissioner Morris and possibly Commissioner Lipsey are more than happy to arrange for a quick meeting with Mr. Donovan at the property before head away for business, if at all possible. Which I think would be helpful to you. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, because it's this week. But my concern is, on my subpoena that I got, Victoria also applied to the fence. And so, that was already done. You did a stop work order on the fence. It was already completely removed. It should have never been.
the subpoena did not address the fence.
You did. It's on the subpoena, Victoria.
Well, we issued we filed it for the lamp post, the storm zadit, and the floodlights as per citizen complaint and going out and confirming those issues.
I have the copy of it, I'm sure, in front of me.
Once we filed the work, we're unaware of what they came to you with it for. What we wrote on the subpoena, or on what we filed, was violation of the Lynchburg zoning ordinance, work without a permit in a historic district. Any further information of what they might have put on there, we aren't aware of what they did. That's what we based our belief on.
But that really isn't our concern, is it? Our concern is
It's a criminal
parking lot.
And I would like to clarify something I said earlier. I had said there was a 30-day appeal period for city council appeals. There is a 15-day appeal period, so I'm sorry for missaying that.
15 days for appeal?
Correct?
You said it's a 15-day for appeal, not 30 days?
Mm-hmm. 30 days to remify the violation, which when you've denied it is, but 15 days to appeal to the city council.
Okay.
But if he submits another COA by the end of the month, then the 30 days doesn't count, right?
That would be an action moving towards trying to fix the issue.
Yeah, okay.
Right, okay.
Okay, so just to be clear, he has to submit a COA by the end of this month, but that's not necessarily, or that.
We gotta come up with a game plan, but we won't have a full plan, and it'll be not complete, and it will give me, hopefully, you guys will say, we're gonna give you to July to get further information together. Is that how I understand this?
That's how I understand.
That's how I understand it as well.
And then in July, hopefully I have a plan, and then hopefully we can come up with a plan and I can figure out how quickly I can get it done so that it can be done in a timely manner. Does that make sense? I mean, is that how this works?
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds like that's what we're trying to accomplish.
And how does this reflect on his summons?
This application is not related to the summons.
Did you issue this?
Why?
They are two separate. They are.
He has concern that on the summons it states something about the fence. I don't know whether two parties are looking at two different documents or something, but if we could just rectify that there is nothing pertaining to have him to go to court over the fence, because that issue is moot at this point.
Right. He would not be going to issue over the fence. He would be going to court over the lampposts, the storms, and the floodlights.
Now, at what point would that summons be rescinded or canceled out if this process proceeds through the HBC COA process?
If he submitted his COA, his after-the-fact COA, oh goodness, I'm on. If he put in his application for an after-the-fact COA for these three issues, then when we go to court, we can tell the judge we received a COA application for what we're coming to court for. He's going to the HBC meeting on whatever date it's going forward with, and then the judge can take a look at that and decide how to make his decision based on the fact that there is work being done to ramify the violation.
Can you list those?
Understood. Is he mandated to attend that? I know it's a summons, obviously, but if we've set that process in motion, or if you between yourselves, if you set that in motion, does he actually need to be there for that?
Yes, we are going to court, but he can get his HBC application in for those items.
Okay.
And so what are those? So you're talking about the storm windows on the house? We're talking about storms.
Yes, the storms, the lampposts, and the floodlights.
What was the last thing, Victoria?
Floodlights.
Floodlights.
Do any lights have to be approved on the garage?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
Can I just be clear? Is it the floodlights or the lights that light up the house?
The lights, or the complaint that was issued to me were floodlights, and I believe those to be the lights that light up the front of the house. That's what I was.
I'm sorry, you're cutting it out. You said the complaint was what?
The complaint mentioned floodlights on the front of the house, so I interpreted those to be the lights that were lighting up the front of the house. If that is a different issue, please let me know.
But we're not dealing with any of that now, right?
Correct. These are two separate issues.
I was given a chance to meet with this board before I was given a summons for those things.
Because it was work that was done after the notice of violation, and
But you never notified me that I was in violation, Victoria.
We did. We gave you a notice of violation, which said that if you did not comply with the zoning ordinance and stop work until you receive COA approval, the city may pursue the violation as a criminal complaint within the General District Court.
That was pertaining to my driveway and my fence.
Any work. The stop work order is for any work that is done in a historic district without COA approval.
So you took it upon yourself because you were upset about the driveway and the fence, then to not let me know, Marty, that you put on storm windows without getting a COA.
No, we do our stop work orders, notice of violations, and this further process based off of citizen complaints. The city does not go around patrolling historic properties.
And so you don't think it's good customer service to let a resident know that there's been a complaint made in the historic section and say, Marty, you just did this, why did you do this? I put storm windows in every single house I bought on Rivermont Avenue. I've had 4 of them. I've never had to get approval on the windows. You cannot replace a wood window, but I've never had an issue with putting storm windows on a house. My bills were $2,000 a month this winter. I needed storm windows.
Storm windows can be approved administratively, but they do need a COA application. The guidelines do state that.
So you can call and tell me that. I mean, I don't understand what your position is. If it can be done administratively, why are you taking me to court over this? That's silly.
Well, because you're doing work within a historic district after a stop work order and after a notice of violation, and you are doing it without COA applications.
I think what we do allow storm windows. The only thing that Victoria is saying, because we allow something doesn't mean you don't have to come in front of the commission to get permission. In other words, if you were replacing the windows, well, there may be a reason for that. If you're putting storm windows, we still have to know what type of storm window, what's it made out of, is it aluminum, is it brown, is it red? So we still have to have that information. But it does state clearly in the guidelines that storm windows are permitted. But you just can't put, if you say, well, I'm putting a makeshift storm window that, there's a possibility we would not approve it depending on what it is, but if it's a standard storm window, we would approve it, but it still has to come in front of the commission. Same thing if you're putting floodlights on the house that were never there.
They were not floodlights, just uplights.
You have to come, if you were putting new lights on the side of your front door,
I know.
The exterior of the house has to come in front of this commission to approve. You have to show us what's there, what you plan on putting there, why you putting it there.
The lights that
anything on the exterior.
Brown that shine up on the column. It's landscaping lighting. So is that not approved administratively?
It depends what it is. Some things can't be approved administratively.
They're the lights you guys get at Home Depot. They go in the ground, they shine up. Landscape light, that's all it is.
Yeah, that has to be approved too.
Right. And since we never...
A lot of those.
Yeah, we went through that process with 2301 Rivermont, actually.
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
I'm selling that house right now. Wow. I will tell you, the way this system works is not accommodating for people that live here in the historic section. And I just think that something needs to be done in the future to make the system work better so it's more effective and more accommodating to tax-paying citizens that take on these projects. And I am privy to it because I have owned homes in here too. I messed up in the driveway for sure, and we'll try to figure that one out. But, I just understand, Victoria, why you would have not contacted me to say there was a complaint and you got a, whatever it's called, work stop order. Did you do storm windows and all that? I need to talk to you or come to the house. You need to be more customer orientated and more accommodating because we're homeowners here busting our asses off trying to fix up somebody's home. You guys, you've got 50 of them that nothing's been done to them for 50 years that look like crap. And then you have other people watching this stuff that are afraid to buy in historic sections because you're not accommodating, Victoria.
Mr. Donovan, stop, Mr. Donovan. Stop. Your language is not appropriate. Your volume is not appropriate.
All right.
The motion has been made and carried. You've been notified that we are being more than accommodating in saying, get a new COA in by the end of the month with actionable items on it. We will look at it. We will process it as quickly as possible. If that work is going on, you will be able to stand in the circuit court and say that that is the case. Victoria, as representative of the city, HPC, will be able to say the same thing, and we can move forward.
I apologize, Victoria. I don't want to be out of line.
And let me just add one thing, Artie. It is not us. It's not up to us to be going through every house in the historic district to see what people are doing, so that we can come to them and tell them this is what you need to do. When you buy a house, you should have been given a brochure, but you didn't have to. You already knew it was in the historic district. But the fact is that it clearly states in the guidelines, if you had read it, that any work on the exterior of the house has to come through this committee. Therefore, it is the homeowner's responsibility, not the HPC. It's the homeowner's responsibility to make sure that they comply, and if they have any questions, that's when you call Victoria, and she will direct you as to what needs to be done or not done. If she can administratively approve something or not.
This is I had no idea the summons had to do with other stuff. I thought it was the driveway, so that's why I'm taking so back on this right now. So I need Victoria to apply for COA for rectifying the driveway. But do I have to do another one now that will address my windows, what was that thing? Uplight in the lamp post, which are all lights I put in the yard for security purposes. So do I apply for COA for that?
That's correct. If you apply and you have the COA application in for that, when we do go in court, we can explain that you have taken action and moved forward to do something about it.
All right. I apologize, Victoria. It's very frustrating, but I did not know that. So I had no idea that's what the summons was about. No idea. That caught me off guard. I will get that to you this week in something regarding for the driveway. Those are two separate things, correct?
Correct.
See if he needs two then, driveway, and then there's lights in the window.
I need two COAs then. One will cover the summons, the other one will cover the driveway. Is that all I need?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. And how do I get those online?
There's an online COA application link that I will send you along with your other COAs from this evening.
And then if there's a way I can talk to Victoria during a weekday, because it'll save us both a lot of time and more headaches. If I can talk to you, you can guide me through it, and maybe we can communicate better to make it right. All right.
Be more than happy to do so.
Am I done?
Great. Yeah, Mr. Donovan, thank you for your time. I think that, again, it sounds like we're on the right footing here with getting the correct information to Victoria, and also possible setting up of a meeting with Commissioner Morse and or Commissioner Lipsy to take a look at that driveway situation.
Wow, I got my work cut out for me. All right. Thank you for your time, y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir.
How do I end the meeting?
Do we have any other items that are on the agenda today that I can see of that looks like no? Does anyone have anything they want to bring to the table before we wrap up today?
Victoria, you had sent out an email noting about the cancellation of the training sessions around the state.
That's correct. We'll see if they offer any other options as time goes on. They have offered some online sessions, and they've also pointed people in the direction of online sessions, which do count towards your training. So I'll keep you up to date on that as they communicate with me.
Yeah, that would be good. If we're going to do it online, you know, can we, as the lockdown eases up, if there's one that's going on that would be good for all of us, that we could come into one location as a group and go through that, so we can have sidebar discussions, etc.
Okay.
That would seem to be a good situation.
All right, then we'll keep an eye out for something like that. And if they do continue to be virtual, or if conditions do encourage us to remain virtual, we could do that with a WebEx as well, such as we're doing right now, where we can run the meeting on someone's computer and then attend it virtually like this. So we'll think about it and brainstorm, and we'll stay in touch.
You know, Victoria, there was one that cost $100 that looked really good. Would the city pay for $100 for all of it?
Like, we have taken a hit from COVID-19, but we can take a look and see. That's not an answer I know right now.
Yeah.
So
it's
that's something.
July, I think.
Okay, that's something I'll communicate. I'll ask and I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Great.
And as a closing statement, Victoria, very nice job of keeping your composure. Very, very well done.
Well, thank you. All right.
Yeah, Victoria, we appreciate I know I certainly appreciate your professionalism and all the work that you do. And it's not easy, and I think you're doing a fine job.
Well, thank you very much.
Ditto.
Absolutely. Commissioners, thank you all for your time. I know it's been long and interesting doing this over the teleconference, but again, we truly appreciate it, and I hope everybody's doing well and staying safe and making our way through this.
All right. Thank you all for your help and your cooperation and willingness. Eve is going to show me how to stop the meeting now, unless anybody has anything else.
I don't believe so. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Oh,
Meeting adjourned until next time.
All right.
Take care.